Baiklah, dan seterusnya merupakan kita akan mendengar pula sesi perkongsian kedua mengenai peranan industri dalam bidang kecerdasan buatan. Majlis amat berbesar hati untuk menjemput yang berbahagia Datin Ts Habsah Nordin, Ketua Pusat Kecemerlangan Kecerdasan Buatan Petronas, untuk berkongsi pandangan beliau mengenai peranan industri dalam memacu kecerdasan buatan di Malaysia. Jadi kita berkenalan sikit dengan yang berkaitan. Dia merupakan berkelulusan ijazah sains dalam jurusan Sains Komputer daripada 𝘾𝙗𝙗 Reserve University USA dan telah berkhidmat di Petronas sejak 1995 ya Datin, dan memegang pelbagai portfolio kepimpinan seperti perancangan strategik, pembangunan perniagaan, pemasaran, audit dalaman, transformasi, data management dan banyak lagi. Jadi nanti perkenalanlah sendiri dengan yang berbahagia Datin. Baiklah, dengan segala hormatnya dipersilakan yang berbahagia Datin Ts Habsah Nordin.
I'll take over with the introduction. Okay, distinguished guests, YB Chang, yang berbahagia Dato' Sri Haji Hasno Zamzam, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Zamri. Gentlemen, adik-adik semua ya. If you want to connect with me, sorry, I'll be doing this presentation in English if you don't mind. Okay? This is about myself, but if you want to connect with me, please do so in LinkedIn, so you will know me better. Right now, I'm heading the AI Center of Excellence for Petronas. What I'll be covering for today is an extension to what YB has shared with you. I think there has been so many tremendous efforts by the government in making advancements in the technology as well as the AI space. But I'll be covering more from the global lens, exactly what's the opportunity that you can take forward, even though you may not be a computer science graduate. But you can always find yourself somewhere within that whole ecosystem of AI. Okay, next. Okay, the AI trajectory, the one that we'll be covering today is looking at the growth, competition, transformation. So I'll be covering about evolution of AI, give you perspectives how it has evolved over time. AI doesn't happen when ChatGPT appear to your laptop or to your mobile phone. It has been long in existence. What exactly are the global AI risks that we are knowing for now, and as well as future impacts of jobs? Next. Okay, this is a study that was done by Indigo Advisory Group. If you see to the left of it, you can see it is actually of a multifaceted. So the early beginning, it was the structuring of within the energy sector, how the technology has evolved. This was the time in the early 1970s where the renewable energy industry 3.0 has appeared. So this was the time when we're looking at the automation, computers, creations, as well as microprocessors. And in 2000 until 2020, we heard about the digital transformation. You heard about it, right? So this is where we are looking at a lot more, the use of the data and how exactly we're able to test new business model. You also heard about Industry 4.0, the IoT and so forth. Now, we are moving into the next phase. This is the next phase, we call it automating phase. This is where the net zero comes in the space of energy as well as Industry 5.0. This is about AI becoming more industrialized, where you can see AI in multifacets of things, not just in the information technology, as well in the operational technology. So that's where it covers in the whole spectrum. Next. Now, what is AI? Maybe just give a snapshot. So AI started its creations in 1950. It has evolved through times to machine learning and deep learning. So the way we have applied AI in Petronas when we started our digital transformations in the late 2018, whenever we look at the business pain point, area that we need to solve, some of the solutions that we develop, we have embedded different approaches of AI. So these are just some of the examples that we have put in place in Petronas. Most of these solutions are already in use. Some of these solutions, we use it in a manner that we are looking at from the way that we plan in terms of our LNG, all the way that we supply to the customer, the way we look at the smart detection intervention. This is where computer vision is being used to detect any of the unsafe act and behavior for all the workers at the project sites. And this is also where we have Int AI. This is a total solutions, how we bring digital and AI to actually have a modernization the way we do our inspections at our plant. So these are just some of few solutions that we have embedded AI within Kecerdasan. Next. Now, what does the global race is telling us? If you see on your left side, that's first one. This is what you hear every single week, right? It's like a chase of new technology. You know, Microsoft is announcing something, NVIDIA is announcing something else. That's the technology race. So you can see from the hyperscaler like the Google as well as the AWS and so forth, they always have that new technology that they are introducing. But when AI is actually moving in that direction from a technology lens, there's also another race, which is the regulation AI. The regulation AI comes more enforced when generative AI comes in the picture. I think you remember when you start to use ChatGPT, there was always this concern about hallucination. So the generative AI per se bring about the law as well as the legality of the use of AI. In the regulations of AI, the state that we want to be is having a responsible AI state. So in Malaysia, last year we already have under MOSTI leadership, the release of the 𝘼𝙧𝙩𝙑, as what YB Chang has mentioned, that become a voluntary framework. How an organization look at the build of AI according to the 7 principles of ethics. And then we have the third race, which is the business transformation. This happens at every industry, as every company, because of the advancement of technology. At the same time, there's also the regulatory balancing. How do we bring about, as a Petronas, as well as any company, the use of AI to create value? So that's from a business transformation standpoint. So if you look at this, these are big ecosystem. So when you look at where your skill set of AI comes in, it's not just in the technology space. It goes across all the other dimensions. Next. Now, I would like to share with you some of the findings from the Talent Corp. These are the 5 major findings. The finding number 1 is all sector agrees that adopting AI digital is essential. It is not an option. It's a must do. You must do it. The second finding is about 620,000 jobs, or about 18% of the 3.5 million is expected to be impacted. But it doesn't mean that impacted means you lose your job, because later you will see there's also creation of new jobs, new roles. Third finding is where employers are increasingly seeking talents with AI. I think the one that YB Chang mentioned, you know, as an employer, if you know more of AI and other technology, you would be more preferable as far as from a context of employment. But what I would like to deep dive today is on finding number 4, which is where we talk about the emerging jobs that will become more important, with 70% in AI and digital. And finding number 5, how highly impacted jobs can also pivot to other jobs within the same industry or to the different sectors. Okay, so those are going to be my deep dive, sharing. Okay, next. Okay, now World Economic Forum. This is a study in 2023. You look at the top 10 fastest growing jobs, you will see those on the top list, those are AI and machine learning specialists. You will also see some of the other, areas, for instance, like data analysts and scientists. So these are also the adjacent to the AI talents. So if you look at it, like even robotic engineers, now we also see AI is being embedded within robots, right? The recent announcement by NVIDIA. So while in the past, robot is being supervised by human, but right now, the robot is embedded with its own intelligence, mimicking a human intelligence. So that's where it's moving on. Now, if you go next. Now, we look at how does the emerging jobs become increasingly critical and how it reshapes the future of job. So this is again from World Economics Forum. 22% of the global jobs will be affected by job disruption by 2030. In fact, I just read this morning a Forbes article that was released on the 4th of April. It mentioned that 70% of jobs will be affected, where there will be a skill shift, which means that some of the job, that particular skill will no longer be relevant, but it will be add on to a different other skill to undertake that job, right? And we look at where 39% of the core skill required across job will change due to the advancement of AI and digitalization, and where there will be a 40% growth in the roles of AI and machine learning by 2027. So if you look at this number, right, it's like two sides of a coin. One side, you kind of like having anxiety, but the other side of it, you kind of have very high prospect, positivity, because this is where the balance is. But what we are saying is there's a lot more opportunity where there will be new roles that's be emerging with AI. So I think I just want to recap again what YB Chang is mentioning. AI will not replace human, definitely will not replace human, but the collaboration of human and AI will be very different in the future. Because as we speak right now, the state of AI that we're seeing at this juncture is still within what we call as narrow artificial intelligence. It will move into the next phase of a general artificial intelligence. So it will get more sophisticated over time. What it means that as a human, we need to level up our upskilling. So that will be the challenge, and I would say an opportunity, which means that from the learning agility, it will definitely redefine differently the way we operate today versus how we operate in the last 30 years. Because AI will make a change for us. So what we're saying is that if we do not disrupt ourselves, AI will disrupt us. It's as simple as that. Now, if you see on your right side, maybe it's a little bit small, but what you can see, these are some of the examples, the roles that are undertaken as the whole ecosystem of developing an AI. Typically, when we hear about AI, the first thing in your mind is about what? Data science, right? It's not just data science. You will also need UX engineer to develop the solution, data engineer. You have also your AI architect, you have your AI engineer, you have your machine learning engineer. So you imagine different role has a different competency and skill set. So typically, every time we evolve into development of any solutions with AI, this will be the different skill set that will be assembled in the different phases of the development within the whole AI lifecycle. Next. Okay, this is just an example to give you a perspective. So if we actually take some of the key roles, looking at the whole AI lifecycle, there's the technical aspects of things to your left, but there's also the responsible AI developments. So if you see on the left, AI architect, these are the person who have the bird's eye view in terms of how we're going to design the AI infrastructure, align with the business goal, align with the right in terms of the ethics and so forth. So you have that. So these are the architects of AI. Then you have a data scientist who looks into analyze the data and they start to develop the models. That's your data scientist. For that development of models to actually be embedded into applications, you will need to have your machine learning engineer. And right after that particular model is being used within any application, then the AI engineer will ensure that it's the right ecosystems of AI being developed so that it can be functionable within the business process. So I just want to give you this particular example is to show you AI is very broad. So it's not just data science. You may start with a computer science as a background, even engineer. So we do have engineer, maybe I can give you a live example. I have my staff here, Farhan. He's a petroleum engineer, but trained as a data science in the last few years. Sorry, Farhan, I have to take you as a live example. And now he's with me doing strategy on AI. I also have Shaful. He's a marketing by background, but he become AI advocate. So I'm saying that you may not be a computer science, you may not be engineer, you can be a marketing person, but you find your spot in advocating AI. There's also many lens of skill set that we are seeing in the organizations. Okay, that's on the left side of the technical aspect. Now, in order to ensure the safe use of AI, there's also on the regulatory side. So the regulatory side, this is ensuring the responsible AI development. We have the AI ethics. AI ethics is understanding what is that set of rules, regulation, or AI law, and understand how it gets translated to a technical implementation. So an AI ethics, you cannot just be a law by background. You need to understand how it gets implemented. So you need to have the lens of two worlds. So if you look at this, every single role has a different accountability and giving a different impact to the whole life cycle of AI. Now, how do we see human AI works together? This is a very simple graph. It just talks about the role of AI, the way we design with the human interaction. So you see from your left side, this is where AI will just generate insights with co-creation with human, all the way that AI can be a recommender, which means AI can give the insight, it can recommend, but as a human, you still make the final decision making. Or AI as a decider, where they churn out, they give insight, and maybe for certain specific rule, you also allow AI to decide, and when AI as an automator, where every single process is being done with AI. But it doesn't mean that when AI as an automator, you don't have human in the loop, because it's a machine. It fails. So when it fails, you need to have the so-called, how do you ensure there's human in the loop who comes in and intervene in the case that it fails. So to a certain aspect, you always have seen an interaction of human and AI working collaboratively in each of the processes. Okay, next. So this is just an example. How many of you are engineers in this room? Only one? And the rest of you? Okay, you just imagine. You are a petroleum engineer. Typically in a petroleum engineer, when they come to Petronas, those are their basic degree, but then they can have area specialization, they can become a reservoir engineer, drilling engineer, production engineer. So now, as an engineer, you would have what we call as, these are transferable skills, which means that you need to understand the use of the tool in order to do the jobs. You also need to have specific skill for you to look at some of the, in particular engineering tasks. For instance, you need to do some problem solving and so forth. And you also need to have a basic skill. For instance, as a petroleum engineer, you need to have project management, critical thinking, problem solving, and so forth. Now, engineer working with AI or moving into an AI world will then upskill themselves. For instance, if they upskill themselves in that area of data engineering, system integration, and so forth, from the petroleum engineer, that person can become an AI solution architect for that domain. Which means that if that domain is got to do with oil and gas, something got to do with exploration, production, that engineer can become AI solutions architect. Similarly, also, if that engineer having to understand how the algorithm works, doing simulation and modeling with AI and so forth, that person can also be an optimization engineer. Okay, so it's not just they are a reservoir engineer, they can also become an optimization engineer. So you can see the shift and the breadth and the enrichment of the skill, new roles with AI, right? Now, the opportunity is for us to upskill. I think that's where the opportunity for us to bring about this particular enhancement and enrichment to the job. Okay, next one. Now, in order to do that, YB Chang also mentioned about learning agility. But unfortunately, it's not just one learning agility. It cut across, I would say, 5 types of agility. Okay, the first one, self-aware. Every single one have to be self-aware about your strengths and weaknesses. I just maybe share with you, even at my age, okay, I'm not that young, but I'm also not that old, but because in order to undertake this role, I feel that I need to equip myself with the right competency. So I went for my certification, so I've already been certified as a certified AI transformation leader from the United States Artificial Intelligence Institute. What I meant to say is, learning never stops, right? If you think that learning just in the university, please change that mindset. Because as and when you go into the workforce, learning never stops. Especially when you are in this field, the technology changes very fast, and I think this is where the first understanding about self-awareness. Second thing about mental agility, how you be able to think critically and navigate complexity. Thirdly, about people agility, how you be able to work differently and collaboratively with a different roles all the time. Then you look at the change agility, how you constantly navigate evolution of change through growth mindset and proactive learning, as well as results agility, how you be able to rapidly build results with tangible outcome. Now, looking at this is where the essential things that you need to understand. There will be evolving rules with AI, continuously changing. So even as we speak right now, when Forbes mentioned about 70% of jobs will change in terms of skill, this is typically the diagnose, how we do a synopsis, what we call as the diagnose on the job. There's 3 rules. First rule, if we go into a particular job and we look at the process, if that process, you already have AI undertaking that process, which means that that task is no longer your task, it's AI task. Can be an agent doing that, can be a machine learning doing that. The second part is when you have a task and you work with the machine, you work with AI. So you're collaboratively working with AI. The third one is AI doesn't do that, it's uniquely human. So that you have an access, be able to assess that particular job in terms of the change magnitude with the AI impact. So what we're saying also is the competitive global market across, how exactly as Malaysia, we have the best talent, how do we continuously evolve to catch up or maybe ahead of the curve in terms of AI evolutions, and how do we enable effective AI integration with the tools, the workflows, as well as what we can actually make a difference to the business process. More important, how you as an individual, you'll be able to build your strong professional profile. Because I think what stands out is always about visibility, right? And I think that's very important for many of us in this room. Next. So this is a sharing. Organizations out there are really upskilling and reskilling their workforce in the organization, the like of Amazon, Microsoft, and so forth. So in Petronas, what we're doing is we upskill, bring that so-called conviction of AI transformation to our C-suite, to our management. The second one is we bring the collaboration across different businesses through many of the activities, as well as we build the right AI influencers and the right talents in the Next one. So this is just an example. So the top one, this is some of the ongoing efforts that we are doing at this moment. We do have hackathon. We actually have advocate for AI because we have to make people aware, right? And how exactly we bring leadership masterclass to the management and also AI influencer program. At the bottom, these are exactly all the opportunities. Many of these are actually free, some of these, right? For instance, you talk about Microsoft AI for My Future. This is the program with the government, the Google Gemilang and so forth. We also have K-Youth Development Program. You know, how the government is putting all the right program and infrastructure so that equipping the Malaysians with the right skill on AI. Next. So this, my end of my page. The future starts with you actually. So this is where you can make a difference. The first thing, I would like to urge you to become an advocate for AI for the greater good of the community. Because I think the nucleus of change starts with us. We have to role model that change. Secondly, how do you embrace AI as your core principle, irregardless how you age in the future, and how you promote cross-functional collaboration and knowledge sharing with your team, across team, even different organizations and so forth, and champion the ethical use of AI and advocate for responsible AI practices. Okay, so with that, that will end of my presentation. Thank you.